I went into Ballerina pretty skeptical because usually when a studio announces a spin-off to a franchise, my immediate reaction isn't usually, yes, that makes so much sense. It just always screams cash grab. And to me, it was hard to picture a John Wick movie where John Wick isn't the main character. And when it came to Ballerina, even though my hopes weren't really high for it, I still had a bit more faith in this one compared to other spin-offs, because I think if you could still nail the gung fu combat that the John Wick movies have, you could still probably get away with a lot of things within your own movie. Like, nobody comes to these films to be blown away by the story or anything like that. If the action is good and crazy, that's all you need. Everything else could be kind of fine. And to be honest, I'm not the biggest Ana de Armas fan. I think she's very hit or miss. And I got to see her in that movie Eden that's coming out soon. I saw it last year at the world premiere at the Toronto Film Festival. And even though there are a lot of things I like about that movie, and a lot of people that saw that movie really liked her performance, I was not one of those people. So I wanted this to be good, but I'd be lying if I said I was really looking forward to it. I was just kind of going in cautiously optimistic. And to my surprise, Ana de Armas was actually good. The movie itself, maybe not the best, but it's solid. It's not the must-watch movie of the summer, but I still want to get into the things I did like about Ballerina. But let's start with stating something very obvious. If the John Wick movies are not your thing, Ballerina is not going to change your mind. And almost all four of the original John Wick movies make me feel pretty much the same way. I went back and checked on my Letterboxd. I gave 1, 3, and 4 3 stars, and I gave chapter 2 a 2.5 star. I have no idea why that one's 2.5 stars compared to the others. They all feel like they gave me the same vibe when I watch them. And these movies consistently entertain me when I watch them. Every time I put on a John Wick movie or experience for the first time, I laugh, I smile. They just don't leave the biggest lasting impression on me. They kind of just go in through one ear, go out the other, and I barely remember anything that happens in them. And to me, Ballerina fits in that same exact category. One thing that I always enjoyed about John Wick was the setup of the world building they have done consistently well throughout the franchise. And one thing I liked about Ballerina was, instead of just like messing around with the lore and changing different things, we were actually able to just get a cool, unique perspective in this world that is outside from the perspective of John Wick, who is clearly like the most dangerous person in the John Wick universe. It's cool seeing other people look at that guy and us as the audience look at him from a different angle and be like, oh shit, yeah, that's John Wick. And like I said, not the biggest Ana de Armas fan. She held her own in this movie, especially in the action scenes. It seems like from the research I've done, she did a lot of them on her own, which I think should be highlighted when most movie stars refuse to do that these days. She just sells it at so many parts. Especially there's one scene where her and another woman are just smashing plates on each other's faces. And that's what I go to a John Wick movie for, right? Like, yeah, the action is well choreographed, but at the same time, there are so many fun little comedic gags like that I can't imagine anybody sitting there bored, you know? Like, there's fun stuff always happening. And I think director Len Wiseman deserves a lot of credit here. This is the only movie I've seen from him because I never got into the Underworld franchise and I never finished all the Die Hard movies. But when you look at his filmography, it just screams, I love action movies. And the action in Ballerina feels consistent, well-paced, and I'd even put a lot of these sequences up there with a lot of the other ones in the franchise. And it seems like a lot of filmmakers these days are finally stepping away from that hyper-cut edit when it comes to action movies. So now you could actually track what's happening. You could like follow in your mind who's hitting who, what's going on. You could see every punch. You rarely get confused about the action going on because the cinematography is so clean. And there are some creative kills in here, like there are in the other John Wick movies, that had my entire theater audibly gasping at a lot of parts. I think flamethrowers overall are pretty underutilized in movies for being as crazy of a weapon as it is. And Ballerina definitely maximized the things you could do with a flamethrower, that's for sure. I also like how there wasn't a lot of CGI, or at least noticeable CGI throughout this movie. And when it is used, it's usually used in a way that helps build out a really cool idea of a sequence. Like there's one part where Ana de Armas gets in a car, she starts driving away, and then you see another truck come slamming in as the camera goes back down. That entire thing looked really good. And even though you're watching it and like, oh yeah, like there's some CGI in there for sure. At least what they're doing with the CGI looks cool. I will say though, the biggest surprise of this movie for me is that Keanu Reeves is in it for longer than 10 seconds. I figured we were gonna get a 30-second cameo at the most in this movie, but he plays a much bigger role than I ever expected. And I think the only way you can use John Wick in a movie that is his franchise, but he's not the main character, is by making him the villain in some sort of way. And they did did a great job at that. Like, as you're watching him in combat, you're like, yeah, this is still the John Wick franchise. Let's not get it twisted. I loved all of his moments, and there's a scene where a henchman is talking to another henchman, and it's right before John Wick comes in and does his thing. The quote that they give is hilarious, and it makes me curious to see what other stuff they do with John Wick and the Ballerina character. In terms of the story, it's fine. You know, it's as basic as it gets. It's the they killed my family, I want to avenge my family shtick that we have seen a million times in movies like this before. And that's fine because I'm somebody that was never really blown away with any of the John Wick stories anyway. And just like the other John Wick movies, I genuinely had a fun time in the moment. This is a ride of a movie. But now that it's over, I'll probably never feel the need to watch it again. And I think that's okay. I think a lot of people hear that and think, oh, it's not worth seeing. Like, there's a lot of movies that are worth a one-time watch. And I put all the John Wick movies in that category. It's not even like it's a forgettable movie because you'll remember little things about it. It's not even forgettable in a bad way. It's just kind of like you watch it and you're done. Once the movie's done, you're done too. It's one of those rare franchises though, where they've made 5 movies now and it seems like no one's really tired of it yet. They do the same thing every time and people still go out to see them and still have fun. Like Jurassic Park has been trying to do the same thing that the first one did 6 more times. And even though those movies make money, like every time they come out, it seems like critics don't really like them. A lot of audience members don't really care for them as much as the first one. And I have to give credit to the John Wick franchise. I don't think there's many people that would say John Wick 1 is the best one. I feel like there's an argument for any of these movies and you could pick which one's your favorite. And I feel like that's rare and rare to find in franchises these days. So if you're a John Wick fan, it's definitely worth the rental. If you're not a John Wick fan, again, I don't think you're going to like this movie that much. It's not going to change your opinion of the franchise. And if you are excited for this, rent it, have a good time. It's not going to change your life, but you will have fun. So this is Chase. Thank you so much for watching as always. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my review of the John Wick spin-off starring Norman Reedus, which is a spin-off to the spin-off.